No, back to the boxing fight. Like, I do think it hurts his stock, and I think I found it very convenient that they announced the Pacquiao Garcia fight, which we'll get into. We might as well get into it now.
Yeah, let's get into that now. Well, hold on. Oh my God! Say it again. What'd you say?
Exhibition. That's what we're hearing now. It's an exhibition fight. What is this? The carnival? That's an exhibition. This is not. What are they doing here?
Oh God. I mean, the news, bro. Okay, so I told you guys when
you gave us the heads up. Yeah,
I gave you guys the heads up a couple of days before this, and I told you guys, yo, I feel like this is a brilliant move for Ryan Garcia.
100%.
And here's why. Before we figured out it was an exhibition, of course, because Pacquiao is what, 42, 43? How old is this guy? He's old, okay? And he just beat a guy 2 years ago. It wasn't Pacquiao's last fight. 2 years ago, 2019 was Pacquiao's last fight, and he fought Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was ranked number 1 or 2 welterweight in the world. He was a WBO champion, undefeated in the world, and you know, he's one of the top 3-4 welterweights. And Pacquiao beats him. Okay, so at 41 years old, beating a guy like that is like, wow, bro, you still really got it, you know, because he just didn't beat any regular dude. You beat one of the top boxers at that weight. Fast forward now, he's 43 years old. You still have that last image of him beating a third 29-year-old, 28-year-old dudes. So you're like, man, he could. His last fight, he looked good. Now you see this young kid, 23 years old, coming in, and now he's ripe to do a big pay-per-view, you know. And it's like, if I'm Pacquiao, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is way less dangerous than fighting Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford, Mikey Garcia, and not only that, but those three don't sell as much as a fight with Ryan would.
True.
So not only is it an easier fight for me, a younger guy who's not a seasoned. If Ryan was 28, 29, it'll be a very dangerous fight for Pacquiao. But now there's so many holes, like I discussed before, and I know I can't be the only one that sees it. I know he saw it. He's left-handed. I know he saw it. So it's like, oh yeah, feed me this guy. I'm gonna break pay-per-view numbers with this guy, and then I could win that fight, and then he could prolong his career again, because now it's like you're 43, you beat a 23-year-old. You're twice that dude's age, and you beat him, and that's possible. But here is where it's even better for Ryan. Ryan gets to fight a legend, right? This is Canelo versus Floyd, right? This is Oscar De La Hoya versus Chavez Sr. You know, this is this moment right here. The older guys always usually lose, right? But Floyd is the different kind of animal. So Ryan wins. If Ryan wins, he went up 2 weight classes to 47, because Pacquiao's not coming down to 135.
No, of course,
right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a 47. So if he wins, he not only beat a legend, and then he retired him. He took everything he worked for. Now he's the A side to all of the pay-per-views that happen. If he loses, it's, oh man, you know, you went up 2 weight classes, you know, and you fought one of the greatest guys ever in the history of boxing. So, and you know, people are going to build up the excuses, but guess what? He still becomes even a bigger star. And then he laps and automatically this makes him the A side in all negotiations with all of the other guys. Automatically, no question. He was ready the A side, but now he's about to lap them if he gets this fight. Because now he is a real time pay-per-view star.
It's true. But I just don't get the exhibition thing now. Is that because they're trying to protect the record? Like, that sort of takes away from it, because here's the thing. Like, we talk about how boxers like to build themselves up. They like to have that undefeated record. I'm pretty sure Canelo didn't, after losing to Floyd, it didn't really hurt his stock. He was still getting big fights after this. So why are they making this exhibition? What's the explanation? What's your thinking here?
From where I stand, I honestly don't know. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, why would you make this an exhibition? And one of my thoughts is, and I'm asking myself, whose idea is this? Is this Pacquiao's idea?
I was going to say, is it Garcia or Pacquiao? That's what I wonder.
This can't be Ryan's idea, because if this is Ryan's idea, this is the biggest pussy shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, you don't want to count the loss. If the loss counts, bro, you lost to Pacquiao. I understand he's 43, but where's the shame in that? You know, so like I pray to God it's not him. And secondly, the fact that it's even us, like the fact that you guys are even entertaining an exhibition, and we're talking about a guy who is a world. Hold on, Pacquiao is the world champion at 147 pounds. He's the WBO world champion, WBA world champion. He has one of the belts. Earl Spence has the IBF and the WBC. Terrence Crawford has the WBO, and Pacquiao is the WBA champion of the world right now. He's holding a belt, and he's gonna do an exhibition at 147 pounds versus an active fighter who's the number one contender for the WBC 135-pound belt. Whoa! I mean, just the thought of that is crazy to me. It's not like somebody's retired. It's not like Pacquiao's retired and coming back to fight him. They're both active. They're both in the mix. You have a world champion and you have a guy who has a mandatory who's really running around his mandatory, which is the smart thing to do. Then come back around to him after, you know. But James, man, I don't know what to say about that.
I'm hoping it is, and I'm hoping this is because I mean, there's a lot of weird things about this, right? Because Pacquiao didn't like it's not like Paradigm came out and said, "Hey, we're making this fight." It was sort of just brought up, I think, on social media. So I think there's a chance they still got to figure some things out because it's something seems off. I mean, especially if they're saying exhibition, it's just for Ryan, like I see the benefit of the fight. Like we talked about this last week where it's like, you know, Ryan's got that YouTube audience. Manny Pacquiao's audience is like, you know, Filipinos and just any casual boxing fan, you know, Manny Pacquiao, you've watched Pacquiao and Mayweather and Pacquiao and all those great fights. So it's kind of bringing the two worlds together, the younger audience with the older audience. So I think it's a win-win from that perspective. So why ruin it by making it an exhibition? That's stupid. I don't get it.
You make it an exhibition and we lose a little bit from that. We lose not a little bit, a lot. There's a lot of luster gone in there. Like the fact that even like, think about it like this. The fact that it was even an issue when Mike Tyson made his fight an exhibition because we were like, oh, man, we really wanted this to kind of count, you know, but because it was two legends, but you know, but you can be sympathetic enough to it because they're fucking 50 something years old. You know, these dudes are old, but this situation is different. Pacquiao is the champion at 147 pounds. And you're telling me that you don't want to count a loss to a 23-year-old if you lose to him? Are you that worried about losing to this kid? And then Ryan, are you that worried about losing to this guy that you don't want it to count? Whose idea is this? That's all I want to know. I thought the idea was great until you threw the word exhibition in there. Now it's just like, Jesus Christ, don't do that. Please don't do that. And you know what's so crazy? Gervonta Davis told us yesterday, he tweeted last night, or was it yesterday? Last night or in the evening during the game, he goes, I don't want to fight this guy anymore. The fact that he's fighting an exhibition. This is how every fighter is going to feel about him.
Yeah, it's a good point. How it's going to impact the rest of boxing, right? With this matchup. So, well, again, things could change. I mean, even at the time of recording this, things could change. Boxing world moves very fast, so we'll see sort of what happens there in terms of the details. But let's pretend this is happening. Let's pretend it's not exhibition.
I pray to God. I pray to God. But go ahead.
How much of a chance do you give Ryan in this fight?
I give him a good chance. It's a 43-year-old man. You're 23 years old. Okay, I give you a chance. I give you. You have your live dog in it. Don't give me the whole 47, bro. You walk around at 50 something. So or you know you're walking around at 40 something. You're in good shape. So 47 is perfect. It's less weight for you to cut. Let me tell you guys something. The reason why fighters start off at a smaller weight and go up is because your career is gonna go up and you're gonna get older. So the older you get, the less weight you want to cut. You understand what I'm saying? Those cuts are harder. And your body starts growing into your man weight. But realistically, he could be fighting 147 right now. You get what I'm saying? He's not too small for it. He's the right height. He's good size. He's long. He could carry 147 pounds weight-wise, you know, and he could do 140, and he's not that far. I mean, he's 10 pounds off, you know, so that's the 10 pounds he cuts on fight week. So he can fight at 147. So is this a good fight? Yes, it's a good fight. There's a lot of holes we've discussed on this show that we saw that Ryan has. And I know for a fact Pacquiao saw those, and he knows how to. That's one thing about Pacquiao. He's fought so many different styles and so many people, and he's beaten so many great fighters that he saw that, and he's like, oh, I don't even have to go into fourth gear to hit this. I hope that's what he's thinking. So, because it's right there in front of you. You just got to know how to get it, you know, and be able to outspeed him. And also he's left-handed, you know, so I don't know, man. We'll see.
Well, I think the speed's going to be interesting, right? Garcia, one of the fastest guys. You see him throw, even just shadow boxing. The guy's just an unreal in terms of that. So that could make it interesting as well. But yeah, I think Ryan absolutely has a shot in this, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with an experienced veteran in Pacquiao. Like, who would you even bring in to train for a Pacquiao? That if you're Ryan Garcia, do you bring anyone in? Do you just rely on what you have? Do you build on your strengths? What do you do if you're Ryan Garcia?
Yeah, you bring in a bunch of left-handers, but he just fought a left-hander.
It's true.
So
Good point. Yeah, he's kind of. You're right. That's actually a good point. I
yeah,
forgot
he
about
just fought
that.
Luke Campbell and another left-hander. So you bring in a left-handers, but quick guys, real quick guys. Pacquiao's power is also his speed, his quickness, and he catches you with very angles, very weird angles. And he lines you up with his left hand so perfectly. That's really what he does. He's lining you up with a left hand the whole time, and you don't even see it sometimes because he's hitting you with so many punches from so many weird angles. So, and Ryan doesn't have the skill sets to dip and weave and move from those punches that Pacquiao throws. He's very straightforward. And, if he was a little bit more defensively responsible, then this fight would be a wash, because 23 versus 43, you just can't, it's too much of a difference. But there's guys in history of fighting who are special. Floyd is one of those. Pacquiao is one of those. He just beat a prime 28-year-old, 29-year-old Keith Thurman and took his belt. And then, and he beat Adrian Broner before that. You know what I'm saying? So it's all there. Like, it's all there for it to happen, So, but again, back to what matters the most. This is going to be a pay-per-view that's going to be a top 5 pay-per-view sales of all time. Easily. And that's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge for boxing if it all comes together. Again, hope it's not an exhibition, but we'll be keeping tabs. Pacquiao said, I think it was before, 3 more fights, right? Could this be his final one, or do you see him actually honoring that 3 fights that he said he was going to do?
Shit. Tom Brady's going to the Super Bowl, bro. So
anything is possible.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And was Tom Brady 42, 43? Yeah, I don't know. This thing is, it's one thing about fighters, bro, it's so hard for them to let go.
Big time. Yeah.
And you know what it is? It's you've been doing this since you were, 8, 9 years old. It's really all you know. And it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's your lifestyle. Like, you're getting ready for a fight. You've been cutting weight since you were 8, 9 years old to get into those tournaments as a kid, those amateur tournaments, and, fighting at 15, 16, 17. I mean, you've been doing this since you were, for all of your life, for most of your time you've been alive, So letting go is really, really, really hard, even if you lose, because you just love it so much, or you hate it so much that you love it, or it's just all you know. So I could see him, win this fight and then try to, cash in on that fight because he just beat a big name, young guy, and then make even a bigger fight out of it with somebody bigger, Just don't take dangerous fights,
Yeah,
so
be smart about what fights you're taking. It's got to be, and they got to make sense business-wise too, right? So that's another important thing.
You got to dodge the Errol Spence. You got to dodge the Terrence Crawfords. Those guys are too dangerous, and they're super prime. They're 30, 29 years old. They're in their primes, and they're very dangerous guys. To where Ryan is not in his prime yet, and it's like, and there's so many holes in it that, but then everybody believes in it. It's like, this is the perfect opponent to pick if you're going to pick a Pacquiao opponent.
What happened to Ryan Garcia's Twitter? I was following along with this last week. I saw 2 different theories of what happened. So this is my, I want to get your take on this. Not that this really matters, but I was curious. He has a big Twitter following. So I heard that he tweeted out something. He's very religious. Tweeted out something about, God or something like that. And I heard that Twitter took away his verification, and then his account went away. Now there was people saying that his account got taken away because he was tweeting about religion. And then I saw that he actually deactivated his account, and people are making it out like Twitter took it away. What's the latest on this? You might know better than me.
I don't actually know. What I found out, what they told me was a couple of days ago when I found out about the Pacquiao things. What I found out about before the Pacquiao news came out, I talked to some people that's over there in that camp, since we know those guys, and they were like, Pacquiao. I was like, oh, crazy, and because we were just talking, and it's like, Twitter. I'm like, what the hell? Well, our producer Taylor, who's here, is like, they deactivated his account. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't know, man. But then again, it wouldn't make sense for him to deactivate his own account and then go on this spree of just talking so much shit about Twitter people. about the people that are on Twitter when you deactivated it yourself, you know? So that doesn't make sense. And also, why deactivate your account right now when you're really, really hot right now? Why
Yeah,
deactivate
it
it? So
doesn't make sense.
I think that he said some religious shit, and then that which is so messed up. Like you can't censor.
Yeah, I know. That's a podcast in itself. We can talk about the wrongs of Twitter and how
Oh,
they do a lot of weird things on there. But yeah, it's a bummer because obviously, like you said, he's more into that sort of younger generation. A lot of people use Twitter. It's a good news source. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff on Twitter, but still, the news is what you want. And he had, I don't know how much, it was like 500,000 or something. He had a ton of followers, right?
I don't
So
know, but he needs it because it's
yeah,
part of what he got going
part of
on.
the
His
fight
social
machine,
media is very important. Yeah.
as they say. Before we get out of here, what do you got coming up this week? It's we're doing this on a rare Monday. I think we're going to be moving this to Mondays, but what do you got coming up? Busy week, I'm sure.
I was in camp with Jojo Diaz, Jojo Diaz Jr. Jojo Diaz Jr. Is the champion at 130 pounds. He took the belt from Tevin Farmer last year in Miami during Super Bowl weekend. And I mean, oh, man, I watched this guy do 15 hard rounds, man. It wasn't like, guys spar, but we'll go 70%, we'll go 50%, or we'll go 60%. Nah, or we'll work. Like they gauge how much work they put in according to how they're training. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy to watch him train. So I think I'm gonna go. He's getting ready for a fight February. What's the date on that? February 16 or something like that. February
It's coming up
13th.
soon. Yeah, kind of the
Yeah, it's
idea.
coming
We're
up
February
under
next
zone.
week, right? So
Yeah, so I'm gonna go to his camp and continue to see what they got going on and work a little bit with him, and yeah, I'll be out there for the next few days at his camp, and with David Benavidez, who's the champion at 168 pounds, lost his belt on the scale. The belt that Canelo has, that WBC green belt that he has, that's David Benavidez's belt that he was stripped of. So David's been training and just getting ready. Yeah, so Jojo Diaz versus Rakimov, right? Rakimov, February 13th in California. Big fight. So he's defending his belt. Looking forward to that. So a lot of world champions in that gym that I was at, and then yeah, I'll just be out there for the rest of the week. Then go check on Nate and Nick in Stockton on their camp, and yeah, just a lot of guys getting ready for fight. Tristan Calruth also, we're working on a fight, for I think March is the date, and it's going to be on the Virgil Ortiz undercard versus Maurice Hooker, who's another good friend of mine. So it's just a lot of fights coming up. February will be busy, March will be busy, April will be busy, May will be busy. So we're just getting ready for all of that. Yeah, just getting ready for all of that.
you mentioned that February 13th date. That's actually the same day as UFC 258, which, if you're looking at it now, not a very strong pay-per-view. I'm just looking at it right here. We might as well just touch on this quickly. Usman and Burns is the main event, right? Former teammates. And Usman's actually in Colorado training with Gaethje right now. So is his brother. Mo's there too. I was just talking to Curtis Blades, and they're actually getting in work together. So that's kind of cool. But right now, it looks like the co-main event is Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall. I mean, I know it's Weidman, but that's not really a strong main event for pay-per-view, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see how that pay-per-view does. I mean, it's a decent card, but it doesn't have sort of that cachet. So I'm interested to see with boxing going head-to-head with the UFC, which often happens, how that will do. But it wasn't like what we had last weekend, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, Jojo's not like a big household name yet, but there's so many other cards also going on. I think Top Rank has a card that week, maybe if I'm not mistaken. So it's gonna be cool to see that. And then yeah, Mo was in Colorado, in Colorado, training with his brother, and then got some good working with Overeem, got some good working with Blade, and yeah, so it was good. It was good, man. It was real good. We talked yesterday about it, and yeah, man, that guy's just a beast, man. Just a fucking beast, dude. Just a huge, strong, and just doesn't get tired, and he just keeps getting better and better. So he's in the $1 million tournament that's going to be on ESPN on starts in May, I believe. They just handed us the schedule, but I believe it's May that it starts. And yeah, he's in that $1 million tournament. So look out for him. Look out for Mo Usman, man. He's going to win that tournament. That I know. So
I think he'll get. Verdum's in that too, so it should be interesting to see how that goes. I mean, Verdum's, he's old and he hasn't fought in a while. Well, I guess he beat Gustafsson last year, but I'm curious to see if that fight ends up. I think that's a fight that you'll see happen in that tournament, just with how good both of them are. far as us here in Fanatics View, quickly, I think I mentioned it last week. We had the interview with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Really great stuff with Wonderboy, sort of talking about his next move in the welterweight division. And then Yuri Prohaska, we talked to him last week too. He's going to be fighting Dominic Reyes in the main event of the UFC card coming up. I think it's February 20th. Really good stuff from Yuri. His English isn't great, but this guy is a stone cold killer. If you haven't watched Yuri Prohaska fight, check it out on YouTube. The guy's been, knocking people out left, right, and center, and Ryzen came over to the UFC, won his debut, so he's pretty legit as well. He's going to be taking on Dominic Reyes, the guy who just lost his last fight against Jan Blachowicz for the title. So should be an interesting fight there in a few weeks. As always, follow me on Twitter at Lynch on Sports. Keep your eyes peeled to this channel here. Like I said, really great interviews every week, plus this podcast, which is a nice bonus. And hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back here next week. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll see you guys soon.